30 Seconds to Mars is being sued for $30 million. Cute, right? This summer, the band's label Virgin EMI filed a breach of contract suit against 30 Seconds to Mars. However, Jared insists that the band was just exercising their legal rights.
What do they want?
$30 million.
Really?
You're being sued for $30 million. What are you, how do you sleep at night?
I have no idea where the number came from other than it certainly wasn't a wink to the press or weren't we clever to use the same number.
30 Seconds to Mars had just sold a lot of albums and never made any money.
We weren't really expecting a bunch of money. We just thought it bizarre that all of this revenue was being generated and that we were still $2.7 million in debt, so we started to look into it.
30 Seconds to Mars suffered a contract that really wasn't even a direct contract with EMI. It was a bad deal.
They basically told us to shut up and go make another album.
They weren't addressing our concerns that we had with the contract, so we decided to terminate with EMI.
We've been signed for 9 years under California law. You can't be held bound to a contract for more than 7 years, which the courts and myself and we all feel is pretty reasonable.
On July 4th, 2008, we sent a termination letter to EMI. We cited the 7-year statute, which legally ended our contract with the company.
With any lawsuit, there's two sides of the argument. Your side of the argument was our contract is no longer valid because of the 7-year statute. And their side of it is, no, that's not applicable. You have a commitment based on a number of albums, based on the amount of money we've spent, and you're not free to terminate this.
It really is David against Goliath, and in this case, the label, the Goliath was, well, here's a $30 million lawsuit, like, I'm just gonna keep you awake. It doesn't keep them awake suing you for $30 million. It's just, I'm gonna just stress you out, emotionally and financially until you cave.
If you look at historically other businesses that have gone away, I think there's just kind of a gradual decline. Well, gradual, it's been pretty severe, but like this. And then it just reaches kind of a tipping point and just falls off a cliff.
The economics around the record business is based on selling albums.
Growing up, you had to buy the entire album to get the song you loved. You had to. You had no choice.
And now what happens is a kid is sitting at home and goes, I gotta hear that Kings and Queens song. I gotta hear that. They don't have to get in a car or ask their parents and save up $12 to go buy it.
Now that you're given a choice and you can buy the song you love without buying the album, people are gonna do that. Not only that, when you can have it for free.
Record sales have dipped 20% a year for the last 6 years now. Yeah, it's a lot.
The music business has really become decimated, and it has been largely because of illegal downloads, other factors too. But the predicament we're in now is that an entire generation of music listeners, virtually everybody under the age of 21, has grown up in a world where, for their entire sentient lives, they've never had to pay for music. And they look at people my age and who buy music, and they think we're saps. I mean, why would you pay for something that's free? It would be like paying for air.
I've heard someone like Trent Reznor say, you work for a fucking year on something and you put all of this time and you spend all this money on creating these songs, and a cup of coffee at the end of the day costs more than your song.
Consumers wouldn't walk into a grocery store and steal a loaf of bread and have it, but it became okay to steal music. That really isn't something you blame the labels for. That's technology.
The labels have never been cohesive enough to create their own future distribution systems, which is why it took a computer company to start iTunes. Had they been smart enough, they would have co-owned their own digital delivery like iTunes. That was a big mess up.
When Apple, which is a great company, don't get me wrong, is the 3rd largest company in America and the biggest music retailer in America, I think that's concerning. It's a device manufacturer.
You have to understand, this whole story really began before we started the album. Before we got sued, when we were in friendly renegotiations with EMI. And that was going well. Irving was talking to them.
We had made some efforts to address some commercial terms of the 30 Seconds to Mars agreement that I think we all recognized were probably inappropriate.
And then something happened.
That effort stalled out for whatever reason.
When Terra Firma came in and purchased EMI, they became the de facto regime that sued us for $30 million.
Terra Firma took the negotiation away from us. I think they looked at it and they said, I think that they didn't like the fact that it was a friendly renegotiation. They came with a perspective of, we've got to be hard-nosed.
And they've created this strange, convoluted system that you have to be a lawyer to really understand, or a mathematician.
A typical record deal is structured something like this. The record label gives in advance, say $250,000 to the artist to record an album. The artist then records the album. Suppose that the album sells 500,000 copies at $10 each, yielding $5 million. The record label then takes their cut out of the $5 million, typically 85% of the total sales, leaving the artist with $750,000. But before the artist receives any payments, the label first deducts the advance. In addition, the record label recoups other costs such as recording costs, half the promotion costs, half the video costs, and tour support. This leaves the artist $425,000 in debt to the record label. And then this debt gets carried on to the next album, and the next album. Some other hidden items that the contract includes are packaging costs. They deduct up to 25% of the artist's cut, known as a royalty, to cover the expense of plastic cases and artwork. This cost is even administered to digital downloads where packaging is non-existent. 10% is deducted to cover breakage costs during shipping. This started in the vinyl era, continued when CDs replaced vinyl, and still applies today with digital downloads. The 10% free goods deduction is an antiquated system where retailers purchase 100 albums but are given an additional 10 albums at no charge. Since the artist is only paid on albums sold, they are not compensated for those free albums. This deduction still continues even in a digitally dominated market.
Rather than sign an antiquated deal with a company that has no interest in really doing anything except making their numbers work. Yeah. But that's the reality. If you want to sign a record deal, that's what you're doing. By the way, I think I came up with a name for the album.
What is it?
This is War.
It's easier than ever to make music and record it. It's easier than ever to make videos and record them properly. It's easier than ever to put them out there, but it's harder than ever to make them heard or have them heard because there's so much noise on the internet. So a record company still has to do the job of helping to filter that and to promote things properly so that they can get noticed. And there's certainly exceptions. There's artists that have done well without record companies, but by and large, the overwhelming majority of artists that have achieved, major success have been signed to major labels.
We will never have this opportunity again to fight over the 7-year clause and to go and change a part of
Absolutely.
Not just the music business, but the way that contracts are handled. So there's this kind of
moral crusade.
Yeah, there's a bit of a moral crusade. If they gave us every single fucking thing that we wanted, they would still be winning. And they know it. That's the thing, they fucking know it. And by the way, what did they give a shit? They're gonna go home and get their salary at the end of the night. They're getting everything that they want, complete domination over the artist.
Just be careful, you're not addicted is a strong word, to being the person that's always got to be in the battle. Maybe this is not the right time to fight this through this mechanism. Just bide your time. There might well be a different way to fight it, where you don't have to sacrifice as much.
You don't want to go through this fucking legal thing. And you don't win anything. If there was like a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow, I'd go...
The win is you don't lose anything.
Right. That's your win.
The win is you get to pay legal fees. That's what your win is.
That's the win.
Here, let's have some fun. I haven't talked to Kim for 6 months. Let's call him.
He loves you.
Hey, Brenna, call Jeff Kempler. I'm gonna have trouble being nice to this guy.
Hey guys, I'm in the Nashville airport. It's a little loud.
It's probably a little cold too.
It is freezing. It's not right.
Any place where it's cold for you makes me happy. It's Irving.
Oh man, I'm so glad I could find some way to make you happy about me. If it makes you feel any better, I feel perfectly lousy right now. Let me just say something before they take my phone away. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, we're trying, right? To call a lot, try a lot of different ideas. We are really trying, based on how much we want to get back to the conversation.
You sound like a corporate fucking dick. Let's just talk about the deal. The reality fact is that it's really hard to advise these guys to do anything with that piece of shit company that you work for. And say yes, say no, go away, man. Just go away if you don't want to do this. And before they fucking sell the company out from under you guys, put out the record.
Okay.
But fly safe anyway. Bye.
Right. By the way, just side issue. How's the record coming?
Do you think, as a corporation, EMI ever lied to you?
Do I think EMI ever lied to us? I'm seeking not to get sued by $30 million, so I can't tell you whether or not they lied, sorry. I mean, that's the only condition of our release is I gotta be a good boy.
How many people have a copy of our new record, This Is War? And now, how many people stole that copy on the internet?